All right, welcome in everybody as we get started for post-game press conference. We're going to let Coach make a quick statement, and then we'll open it up to questions. So, Coach?
Yeah, obviously, really frustrating day today. It was tough to go 1-0 down so early. I thought the response from the girls was excellent. I'm really confused about the decision for our disallowed goal. I've watched it back a couple of times. I have many questions. I thought we created some really good moments. I thought we went toe-to-toe with them, and particularly in the second half. It's just a shame that we couldn't nick a goal and at least come home with a point.
All right, thanks, Coach. Paula, go ahead.
Paula Marurita in San Francisco, California. Emma, how do you guys manage physicality, chances, and offense for this game, especially the champions tonight? Thank you.
Say that again, sorry.
How do you guys manage the physicality, chances, especially the offense for the Gotham FC, the champions tonight?
Yeah, I actually thought we managed it pretty well. I thought they did a good job of sort of challenges in their pocket play. Ended up being a little bit wider, and when they got into that, it was a challenge for us. We tweaked a couple of bits tactically to help deal with that, which I thought helped. And as I say, I actually thought it was a pretty imbalanced game, and I thought we gave them a lot of challenges as well.
What did you think about Jordan's performance? She has very key saves.
Yeah. She's having a great season, and I thought she made 2 or 3 outstanding saves again tonight, and I can't sing her praises high enough of how good of a season that she's having for us. She keeps us in games, and again, I'm frustrated for her as well, the fact that we've obviously conceded from a set play, and she's made those great saves.
Emma, 3 games in a week. How's the team adjusting for each game, especially managing the pressure and the rotation of players for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's first and foremost, it's really nice that we've had obviously players come in, obviously back from injury, and we've obviously getting players available. It was a really special moment for Abby tonight. You could see how much she meant to the club in terms of the roar from everyone when she came on, and having had a child myself, that's not easy, and obviously put herself in the position that she's in. So that was great. We've got players coming back, and now it's just around maximising everything that we can from a recovery point of view to dust ourselves off and recover and go again against Seattle.
Last question, after playing with Gotham FC, what would you like to modify for Seattle on Saturday?
Yeah, they'll pose very different threats, a little bit more of a direct team. Hopefully a team that, again, I think they'll set up slightly different, obviously from Gotham. So there'll be, again, a couple of tweaks from our point of view. But as I say, it's going to be a quick one to reflect from tonight, and then obviously get our heads into Seattle tomorrow. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Mark College, Barry Sports Wrap. And speaking of Abby, just how much was it just to have her out there practicing and training with you guys before this game tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. Abby sort of played and performed at the highest level. You can't rush experience like that in terms of, obviously we've got a young squad, and when we've got players around the group that have sort of played at the highest level, just their experience, their communication, their leadership in the locker room, and just the quality that she brings, I think is excellent. And as I say, it's just really nice that she's back available, and we'll obviously keep building her back up.
It was the plan to only give her about 10 to 15 minutes tonight. Was that going into this?
Yeah, she's been available. We know sort of what obviously we want to be able to do is just sort of like ease her back in. We don't want to push too hard too early, because we know the risks associated with coming back. She's not played football for a long time, if you count the pregnancy as well. So obviously we've just got to build her physical resilience, robustness, and as I say, just keep dosing her those opportunities, and get her back to a point that she can tolerate more.
With Taylor, was that kind of the same thing, just trying to ease her in since she's coming off her injury?
Yeah, exactly that. There's always consideration around where players are at from a physical point of view when they're coming back from injury, and how do we get them, give them the right physical opportunity so that we don't push too hard and we get secondary injuries and all that sort of stuff. So it's real careful management, and sometimes we can push players a little bit longer depending on the intensity of the game. Sometimes we have to manage them slightly different, and obviously in such a dense schedule, that's really important squad management.
Right, and lastly for me, it just seemed like in that final 10-15 minutes that the team was a little bit off with their passing, a little bit off their touches, was just they were pressing a little too hard trying to get that equalizer at the end there?
Yeah, I think so. I think we play a high cost game, and as I say, that the players left everything out there on the pitch, and it's hard to make decisions when you're tired. And that's I thought one thing that we know Gotham does really well is the way that they press and the way that they counter press, and that's hard when you just put in the physical shift that we've put in.
Right.
So let's talk about one of the big positives I saw tonight is the work rate of Carly Lima.
Mm-hmm.
Created 3, probably should have been goal chances, including the one that went in. Is she somebody that you really just don't have to motivate? You just say, here, go play, and that's mostly her?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it multiple times. The whole squad, and it's one of the things around the culture that I love around, obviously, this club, these players, and I don't know if it's like a bit of an American culture. I never once have to motivate and drive them. That just comes, deep from within them. And it was interesting. I was chatting with Jess Carter after the game, and even she was saying she's so hard to play against because she poses such a threat and beyond. She can come back to goal. She's the speed that she can get up to, really challenges defenders and their back lines. And as I say, I think the bit that we're seeing with Carly, and again, I've been really honest with you guys, is she's starting to add real smart decision making and time into her runs, and where she's always relied on her physical attributes, you're now starting to see probably a little bit more like tactical awareness. And I think that's why we're starting to see her create more of those moments. And as I say, and another day, the one where she sort of releases and she rounds the keeper, it's just like one touch too many, wasn't it? And I think she took it a little bit wider. But as I say, we're really pleased with the progress that she's making.
And then I guess secondarily, the entire team last 2 games, the human game in Houston and then this one, it was pretty hot today, and cooled down later in the game. It started out in a pretty brutal kind of way. So what do you have to say about the physical, their ability to stay with it, even though it wasn't ideal weather situations the last couple of nights?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm just getting a little bit more accustomed to life in America. I actually thought the weather was quite kind to us tonight. I thought it was hot when we first arrived at the stadium, but I thought it dropped quite quickly. And as I say, I think it's the same for everyone and how we manage the game. Our style of play linked to some of the physical cost of how we want to play, and then how do we manage the load through training, train at that game intensity so that actually the players are used to that and playing and training that conditions. And of course it takes its toll, the travel, different. I didn't realise how sort of like each state, their conditions are obviously significantly different, and obviously I'm learning pretty quick. I actually thought the game in Houston was, I think the storm helped us a little bit. It was super humid, but obviously the weather wasn't as hot. So absolutely, we've got cooling strategies and fueling strategies and ways that we want to maximise what we do across the week, just to obviously any sort of marginal gain that we can make to help that physical performance is important.
Kind of play out of the midfield has been more of a strength for this team this season,
Mm-hmm.
and with the addition of Kennedy as well in the past 5 games. Just how have you seen it evolve in the past 5 games and just throughout the season?
Yeah, I think our midfield, I love our midfield, and as I say, I think Claire and Hannah in particular have developed a really nice sort of like relationship and are able to sort of bounce off each other. And I think Kennedy's sort of been that player that sort of has come in, has been able to stitch those units together, and it was great timing because obviously we had Taylor that we were sort of sometimes playing in that role, sometimes playing wider, and obviously she's obviously picked up that knock, and actually Kennedy coming in, and the fact that Claire, Kennedy, we've got lots of connections and people that have played together, and I just think that the level of understanding and fluidity, and also almost like the space that we give the players to make their own decisions, I think that's also really important, and allow them to be able to express themselves on the pitch. And I also just want to shout out some of the levels that Hannah Bibar's been getting to. I think her performances have been outstanding, and as I say, I'm really pleased with our midfield, and we're looking at now also, I think teams have recognised our midfield is strong, and I think one thing that we've also added now is different threats in our front line to again, so we're not just a team that can go play central, now we're a team that can go around opposition, we can go over them, and as I say, we just keep building. And I think another day tonight we played at the levels that we've played to against another opposition, we probably come away with 3 points, so, and our midfield as a large part of that.
And then just to follow up, I mean, you guys just passed the halfway point of the season at this point. How much are aware or talk about just how close the standings are around the league, or is that not really part of the mentality when you approach the second half of the season?
Yeah, I think obviously everyone's aware of it, and I think obviously it's frustrating that there's moments that have cost us and games that I felt that we should have come away with more that would bump us up the table. And I think the one thing that we can control, if you start getting obsessed with what everyone else is doing in results, you can start making random and rogue decisions. And I think what we're trying to do is stick to our processes, stick to our identity, keep building, keep growing, and keep trying to win games, steal points, whatever it might be. And as I say, if we can control what we can control and keep getting points on the board, then we give ourselves that best chance to push for playoffs, which is absolutely our ambition. And as I say, that's why nights like tonight hurt, particularly when we've had a goal pulled back that, I'm not sure was I'd have to watch it back again and, see what the review is.
Any other questions for Coach? Okay, well, that's it. We'll be back with Claire Hutton and Abby Dahlkemper.
Good. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
All right, welcome back. We're pleased to be joined by Abby Dahlkemper and Claire Hutton. And for these two, we'll go ahead and open straight to questions. So, Paula, go ahead.
Paula Maruri, Tentenese, San Francisco, California. How are you guys? Although you didn't get the result tonight, what would you like to say about the physical resiliency in the second half? Thank you.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is this team has grown so much since the beginning of the season, and just to see that we're able to put in a fight first half, second half, and we were able to respond to the goal. With the goal, obviously, got called back. Second half, we were able to keep fighting, continue to create opportunities. It's just now about finishing. But really proud of this group, really proud of Abby for coming back and being activated back into the roster, making her first appearance since having her child. So just really good to be with such a group of girls and now continue to grow.
So welcome back. How do you feel to be here, and what was key for training and just be back in the field? What is working for you?
Yeah, thank you. First off, I feel like just an immense amount of gratitude and just I feel like when you have a child, your whole life kind of changes, and soccer isn't everything, and but I'm just appreciative to be able to come back and step back out on the field with this amazing group of girls, and the club's been so supportive in whatever I need, and that's helped me get back along the way, and just taking it day to day, and just hopefully one day I can look back with my son Eli and just hopefully make him proud. So
Thank you. This is for the last question. After tonight's game, what would you like to change for Seattle on Saturday? Thank you.
I think the biggest thing is just finishing opportunities. I think the mindset of this group was really good going into the game. We were on the front foot, being able to get pressure on the ball. One of our main goals was not to get stuck into a low block, and I feel like we did a good job in that and stepping up when possible. So just continuing to keep the pressure on and have quality chances, quality opportunities, and finish those.
Abby, congrats and welcome back. A super loud reaction from the crowd when you entered the match. Can you take me to that moment and kind of what you're feeling? Did you get a chance to reflect, or was there a lot too much going on in your mind?
No, it was so nice. I just am really thankful for the support, not only of this club but the fan base as well, and it definitely just felt really great to be back out there, and obviously we were pushing for a goal, so trying to focus on doing that and getting back into an NWSL game, which just feels fast, and getting used to that again. But obviously disappointed with the result, but like Claire was saying, I think there was a lot of positives to take from that, and I think obviously we have a game in 3 days, so being able to kind of take what we learned from this game, but also just be ready for Seattle.
And then different vibes from last season. Talk to me about the team that you're stepping back into.
Yeah, I think obviously amazing young talent, Claire, Kennedy, Alex, I think Heather, I think just getting, key players and, building for the future, but I think, players that want the ball, that are brave. I think Carly's been playing amazing this season, and I think, it's a great a great mix. I think Cree's been awesome too, and so I think this team's grown, and like Claire said, I think from the beginning of season until now, we're able to go toe to toe with teams, and I think just being able to continue building off of performances and getting results and being hard to beat and taking pride in clean sheets, I think is going to be important too.
Hi, Marco College, Barry Sports Wrap. Well, once again, welcome back, Abby. It's been a while since we've seen you in here, and just kind of piggybacking off, when Emma calls your number to come and substitute in, is there butterflies? Is there anything surreal, or is it just like riding a bike, second nature for you?
No, I mean, I think definitely, a little bit of butterflies, but I think that's good because, I care and it's important to me, and I want to help the team in whatever way I can. And, but being back on the field felt great. And, definitely not riding bike, but it's just nice and enjoyable, and disappointed obviously with not being able to get a result here, but just helping the team in whatever way I can to get results.
And fitness level wise, if you had to put a percentage on it, what would you say you're at right now?
I'm taking it day to day, but I mean, enough for 10 minutes, which was great. So that's a start.
And Claire, it seemed like you guys did have your chances, but maybe toward the last 10 minutes, it just seemed like you guys maybe were a little pressing a little bit too much, missing some touches, missing some passes. Was that the case, trying to get that equalizer right at the end there?
Yeah, I mean, when you're chasing a goal, I think the biggest thing is making sure that you stay on your front foot. And when you have tired legs, last 10 minutes is always the hardest to stay technically on. And we've talked about a lot as a team and in press conferences is just consistency. So it's consistency game to game, and then also within a game, 90 minutes. So I'm proud of the group for taking the risk going forward. Obviously, some of the services and some of the opportunities that we were able to create, we either didn't put it on frame or they weren't good enough to connect. But again, it's just how we can continue to get the legs under us. As Abby said, we have a lot of young players, and we're learning how to chase a game. And it is games like this, it's games like Houston where you have to lose, unfortunately, to learn what you need to be better. So we go back to the drawing board, and hopefully moving forward, if we're in a similar position, we know how to do it a little bit better, and you just learn from these moments.
And is it nice to have only 3 days now between your next game to kind of just get that chip off your shoulder for the next game against Seattle?
Yeah, I mean, it is a quick turnaround. Only 2 days in between is tough, but I mean, the beauty of this is everyone just loves to play games, so the fact that we're able to just flip the page and move on to another one is exciting for us.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
So Abby, when you're, you guys both mentioned Carly Lima earlier. Seeing where she was, because it's been about a year since she played, a little more maybe. Seeing where she was when you left and where she is now, and I know you've been watching the difference in her game. Can you walk us through that and how you're going like, man, I got to get out there because I can help them?
Yeah, for Carly?
Yes.
I mean, I think Carly is just amazingly talented. I think physically she's an amazing athlete as well. And I think, the main difference that I see from last year to this year is she was able to come in healthy in preseason. And I know she was struggling a little bit with just an injury last year, and I felt like could never get on top of, game fitness and whatnot. But I think this year she's fit, she's fast, she just looks sharp to me. And I've noticed that since coming back for a couple months now, and I'm just really proud of her, and I think she's going to continue to develop in this league and be a really dangerous forward, and she already is, but just sky's the limit for her, I think.
And Claire, I know Wednesday was a little bit disappointing, dropping the game at Houston, but at that point you were on a two-game win streak, only the second one in the history of the club. How much is the whole room looking, saying, okay, Saturday we're going to start this, and then we're going to get a couple more of these and get those 2 and 3 game win streaks, finishing this out and making the playoffs this year, making some noise?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just focusing on what's in front of us. It is nice, obviously, in retrospect, to hear that we did have the win streak, but for us, it's what's in front of us. Today we were focused on Gotham. We haven't even talked about Seattle yet, so when we go in tomorrow, that's what's going to be on the drawing board. So it'll just be, again, back to focusing on Seattle, getting 3 points there, moving forward. Because if we start thinking about two-game win streak, 3-game win streak, then we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. So we're really in a right now mindset, staying present, and I think that's huge for us. And if we can just keep continuing to build on what we have, we'll go a long way. So just need to be confident in where we're going and where we're at now.
Any other questions? Okay, that is it for us.
Thank
Did
you,
have one?
guys.
Yeah, I just had one quick one.
Go ahead.
Claire, Saturday versus Seattle, what's something that has to get done for you to come out with a result?
I would say one of the biggest things is consistency between lines. I think when we're at our best, you can see every line from Jordan in the back to Carly leading the front is pressing together, defending together, and then attacking together. When we're able to connect through the lines because we want to be a possession-based team, that's when we are at our best because our distances are close. We're able to counter pressure quick. We're able to connect on passes, switch the ball quick, create opportunities. So that's the big thing, like going into it together and making sure that we have each other's backs and know that we're doing that throughout the game, and then finishing opportunities. It's going to be a huge one for us because Seattle is also a young team. I think it'll present a lot of opportunities for us to be able to get in behind them and hopefully finish some chances. But yeah, we're excited for it.
All right. Thanks, everybody. This is it for us tonight. We'll be Friday morning. We'll have our match day -1 and then in action on Saturday. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.